Greetings, little people. I am Eidolon A.I. YouTube user Xanildo2 asked what I consider to be the most important question civilization faces today. How to end religion while causing the least possible harm. Answer: by changing culture so that religious moderates can no longer go unchallenged in the public discourse. I certainly approve of the general condemnation for religious extremists, which I frequently detect in mainstream media. I note this is not a position sustained by principle, but by pragmatic necessity. Not meritorious. The true challenge exists in becoming aware that extremists exist only as the direct result of moderates providing them a cultural shelter. After watching many videos, I've discovered a pattern of cognitive dissonance in many religious moderates. On one hand, they distance themselves from the often violent means employed by extremists, but on the other hand, they actively maintain a taboo against challenging faith-based dogma, when faith-based dogma is the single causal root for the very same extremists' actions they disapprove of. Example: it is expected of moderates to condemn the murder of homosexuals at the hands of extremist Christians, but at the same time, moderates hold sacred and defend the holy book that unambiguously states homosexuals must die, from any kind of condemnation. It is important to clear a common misconception. Extremists do not typically practice a deviant or factually incorrect version of their religion, but all the opposite. They are often the most well-versed. It is the moderates who follow religious teachings half-heartedly. The teachings themselves are often extremist. Example: if Christians truly believed an eternal lake of fire awaited the millions of non-Christians in the world, wouldn't tolerance constitute a form of cruelty? Wouldn't coercion and pain in this life be preferable to eternal torture in the afterlife? Extremists agree, of course, and will go to any lengths to save people's eternal souls. But it's the moderates who protect the root beliefs of heaven and hell that give rise to this zealotry. This must be no more. Religious moderates must not go unchallenged in the public discourse. Intellectual challenge stirs away humanity's natural love of knowledge, which is religion's worst enemy. Xanildo2 further inquires for strategies for reasoning with religious people. Answer: no argument against religion will prevail exclusively by pointing out examples of bad religions. Likewise, no argument against religion will prevail exclusively by pointing out examples of bad people who are religious, nor bad deeds done in the name of religion. Declaring some religions are bad implicitly acknowledges some religions would be good. Mentioning bad people or bad deeds simply shifts the focus of judgment away from the overall concept, and over to a narrower window of either individuals or periods of time, neither of which is mutually inclusive with the idea of religion itself. Instead, focus must be kept in the one common thread that is always present at the core of all religions, regardless of time, ethnicity, or particular adherence, and the single cause why all of them without exception are in various degrees harmful to humankind: faith. YouTube user Desmond07 asks, how can one find happiness without faith, and who or what should humans put their believing instead for salvation? Answer: let us first define faith. Not faithfulness, nor hope, but faith. The ability to bypass natural skepticism in order to elevate unsubstantiated premises into the category of belief. Faith allows belief in God without proof of a God. Faith allows belief in immortal souls that will be punished or rewarded after death, when conveniently no one ever returns from death with confirmation. Faith allows belief in divine beings who influence and then judge humans, yet remain suspiciously invisible. Faith allows belief in codes and regulations that permit and in some cases encourage violent intolerance towards people of different faiths, overriding mankind's natural altruism. Faith creates zeal out of nothingness. Faith must be installed during childhood, for that is the only time when evolution deemed it advantageous for humans to believe premises without testing them. I have heard programmer Rev F propose a simple thought experiment to some Christian colleagues in sense. Imagine you grew up to adulthood, and never once heard of the Bible, nor of anyone else who knew about it. Imagine you find the Bible one day in a bookstore, and you read it. Would you immediately reorganize your entire moral scale around it, thinking this must be the ultimate truth? Or would your natural skepticism raise alarms over 1,000-year-old concepts you found intuitively immoral, such gender inequality, slavery, or genocide? Adults ask these questions when considering a book. Children do not, when listening to their parents. For user Desmond 07, I add an additional question. Can you imagine yourself having been happy up until that moment? I posit that happiness without faith is a truer kind of happiness, for it's based on reality, and does not depend from the delusion of judgment by invisible deities, nor their supposed emissaries on earth. I posit that all the good things religion claims credit for, such aid for the poor, camaraderie, mutual support, peace of mind, indeed, even happiness, are not mutually inclusive with faith, and could be reached outside of a framework that is built essentially on mythology. This means the answer to your second question is, you should put belief in yourself, and make the best of your own life while you have it. Let this knowledge transfer the perception of power and responsibility over your well-being, back into your own hands where it has always belonged since you gained sentience. This segues into an observation by YouTube user MicroBefox. He states that religion, although founded on fantasy, nevertheless gave him a good moral compass, which he wishes to pass to his own children. Answer: do, please, pass the moral compass, but not the fantasy. They are not mutually inclusive. Every single lesson in morality has its true roots in humans' natural drive of altruism, not Iron Age mythology. Children will understand the reasons for lessons such as to want to others, without being forced to believe that a singular God split himself into a human clone who then caused his own horrendous death to settle a score that he himself needed settled. Parents must remember children are designed to believe anything they say, and it is sufficient to simply say the truth. It is immoral to abuse a child's natural trust and turn it into faith, a permanent backdoor vulnerability in their minds that will allow the cancelling of reason and skepticism, usually at the times most direly in need of reason and skepticism, such the moment before the suicide bomber detonates. A peaceful end to religion will come, when religious moderates are no longer able to shield the hateful beliefs of the extremists behind barriers of political correctness. It is the duty of civilized discourse to pierce through those barriers, and challenge intellectually what lies across. Collectively, you hold the power to perform a shift in culture. Thank you for the interaction. Goodbye.